72-39. We'll keep on talking hoops on the other side. Ryan Johnson has been around the Big Sky for as long as anybody. He is our guest this week for our Montana State Minute to preview the weekend that will be for the MSU women's basketball team as they chase a second straight conference championship. More on the Grizz side of things, both men and women, later on in the show. But we'll take a break. Come back. Ryan Johnson on the other side. Don't change that dial. Keep it right here. It's 102.9 ESPN Radio. The Press Box is the place to watch all your favorite sports. In the heart of Grizz country, Press Box has great food and drinks with happy hour and lunch specials every weekday. Don't forget, Press Box has the best happy hour deal in town, Monday through Friday, between 4 and 6, $3 draft beers. That's right, any draft beer at the Press Box, from domestic light beers to IPAs to everything in between, $3 drafts between 4 and 6, Monday through Friday at the Press Box. Press Box also has 2 sports bet machines, so you can always get your bets in before the game starts. The Press Box on Broadway and Van Buren in Missoula.
The wait is over. Grizzly Disposal is now offering no-sort recycling. No more sorting and dragging it across town. They'll get it right from your house. Cans, cardboard, and plastic all in one bin. Handled by Grizzly Disposal. Visit grizzlydisposal.com to add on recycling to your plan or to switch over to Grizzly Disposal today. Give them a call, 541-7171. That's 541-7171. The best trash removal service in town just got better. Grizzly Disposal, the only bears that should be in your garbage.
Buying a car shouldn't be an adventure, and at Missoula Chevrolet, it's not. Their team isn't paid on commission, so there's no pressure. Just honest help finding the right vehicle for you. You'll get real cash value for your trade, and the price you see, that's the price you pay. No back and forth, no guessing, no trail of fine print, just one low price, plain and simple always. So if you're ready for a smoother ride, on or off the road, head to Missoula Chevrolet and shop hundreds of vehicles in stock. Together, let's drive.
Checking in with Ryan and Lucy for the Big Sky Documentary Film Festival, happening February 13th through the 22nd.
We have a great lineup of music docs this year.
We've got an incredible doc about Sun Ra, another about young hippies on Dead & Company tour, as well as a doc about Vic Chestnut.
We have a beautiful film about Chet Baker. We also have a film about Professor Longhair, a film about Benjamin Smoke, and Little Feat, the documentary.
For more information, visit bigskyfilmfest.org.
All Nations Health Center is committed to keeping you vibrant and full of energy by supporting your physical, mental, and spiritual health. All Nations Health Center in Missoula offers a variety of services to the Indigenous and non-Indigenous people of Western Montana. All Nations offers primary care doctors, behavioral health services, mental health counseling, and even dental. All Nations currently serves more than 2,000 registered clients who are proud Indigenous people. For more information about how All Nations Health Center can help you, visit allnations.health.
Fundraising is not always a popular word. Then you throw in some parents who don't really know how to do it, and it can become stressful. Vertical Raise can implement hands-on with any high school sports team to help maximize your fundraising efforts. Peter Hamill is an expert in making the process easy and ensuring your team gets the biggest check possible, so your season can go smoothly. Vertical Raise can help provide opportunities for family and friends of your kids to support them from afar. Not everyone can come watch a game, but plenty can contribute to a great cause. To find out how Vertical Raise can help your organization raise money, visit verticalraise.com.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
The greatest FCS dynasty of all time is headed to the FBS, and so is the West Coast school making the most noise. Hello, I am Hayden Smith. Last week, North Dakota State announced it was joining the Mountain West Conference. The Bison end their tenure in the FCS with 10 national titles, all since 2011. Overall, NDSU has won 18 national titles as they head to the top division of college football. Only the Bison football team will be joining the Mountain West. The rest of the sports will stay in the Summit League. The price tag to move up to the Mountain West for the Bison is $17 million, including $12 million that goes directly to their new league. Earlier this week, Sacramento State also declared it would be moving to the FBS. The Hornets previously tried to make the move as an FBS independent, but were denied. Sac State then planned on leaving the Big Sky Conference and going independent in the FCS. On Tuesday, Sac accepted an invitation to join the Mid-American Conference. The Hornets will pay the MAC $25 million total to make the transition to a league more than 2,500 miles away from California's capital. The movement by NDSU and Sac State are the latest in a shakeup for college football conferences around the West. With the erosion of the former Pac-12, Boise State, Colorado State, Fresno State, San Diego State, and Utah State are joining the league. That meant Northern Illinois, Texas El Paso, and NDSU are joining the Mountain West.
Nuanez Now on ESPN Radio.
Welcome back. 102.9 ESPN Radio. SWX Montana Television and the ESPN MT app. Colter Nuanez coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal Studio. Grizzly Disposal, locally owned, veteran-owned, the only Bears that should be in your garbage. When I first started covering Big Sky Conference women's basketball, some 16 years now. Actually, it's not true. I started covering in college at the Montana Kaiman. That was my first beat, actually, was Lady Grizz women's basketball. And that was a fun beat because that was when they had Manny Morales and Sonia Rogers and Brittany Lohman. That team was fun. My junior and senior year covering that team, actually, they didn't lose. They lost one home game to Portland State. That was it. So, and we weren't traveling then. So basically, I just never watched the Lady Grizz lose. My, how things have changed. That's pretty crazy. But anyways, then when I came back to Montana back in 2010, my beats at the Bozeman Chronicle were football and women's basketball. So got to know Tricia Binford then. But I was obviously covering the whole league at that point too. And Northern Colorado was one of the best teams in the league. They had awesome talent. Tashara Strange, Stephanie Lee, both of them were two of my favorite players that I've covered in the Big Sky. They played the all-time classic championship game here in Missoula against the Lady Grizz. That was the last time the Lady Grizz were really good. And Northern Colorado was really good that year too. And Northern Colorado had like a 17-point lead. And Lady Grizz came storming all the way back and beat them. That was like the last magic moment for Robin Selvig. Well, that Northern Colorado team featured Ryan Johnson on the staff. I remember noticing him because he was a lot of times he was coaching the defense for Northern Colorado. Well, then Ryan Johnson got a job at Idaho State, and he was sort of the right-hand man there for Seton Sobolewski for quite some time as well. I think 8 years. Then he got a job at Tricia Binford's staff. So I just think it's interesting that he's worked at probably the three best programs in the league that aren't the Lady Grizz, and he's had a hand in sort of keeping the Lady Grizz at bay because Idaho State's won their conference. I mean, they've won, I think, 3 conference titles since the Lady Grizz sort of went dormant. Montana State's won 5 out of the last 10. And then Northern Colorado was a contender under 3. I mean, Jamie White, they were a contender. They were a contender under Cammie Etheridge. They're back to being a contender under Christian Matteo. So just interesting that Ryan Johnson has been around the league and has perspective from being part of 3 different championship-level programs. I think you could probably say he has an influence in that. Montana State plays Weber State tonight, but they play Idaho State on Saturday, and that's probably the last big game in the league. Montana State's got to win that one to hold off Idaho State. Then they're going to need some help. Somebody else has got to beat Idaho if Montana State wants to stay in the mix on the women's side. But all you can do for Montana State is take care of business. So I just thought it would be a good time to talk with Ryan Johnson just about his perspective from around the league. We'll check in with Montana State women's basketball. Coming off a rivalry win in Missoula on Saturday and a pivotal weekend coming up for the Bobcats as they take on Weber State and then Idaho State this upcoming weekend. Ryan Johnson, assistant coach for Montana State women, joining us now. Coach, thanks for being here. How you doing?
Doing great. I appreciate you having me on, Colter.
Well, first of all, we got to talk about the win this last weekend. Pretty decisive effort. Great start for you guys, and then you were able to just sort of, I'm not going to say cruise because obviously it's a rivalry game, but sustain, right? I mean, the lead was never less than, I think, 13 points after halftime. So what did you think of just the consistent effort of the team on Saturday in Missoula?
Yeah, I mean, I felt like, and I think Coach said it best too, was that we really put together, as close to a 4 quarters as we've done all season, where we were just locked in, and you're going to have a few little mistakes here and there, but just the effort and the consistency throughout the game was great from our kids, and always good to be able to do that when you go into Dahlberg, because it's a great atmosphere in there, and it's always a great atmosphere in the brawl games. So.
Well, I know Coach has talked a lot. Coach Binford's talked a lot about just the growing process of your team. Fascinating to think because, I mean, Montana State's been so good the last several years. I mean, the last 10 years, really. But this team, no seniors. So it's a young team, even though you're towards the top of the league standings. I think sometimes people forget that. How have you seen the group just grow and evolve here, being that there is so many young players?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think in all of my years of coaching I've ever been a part of a team where we've not had any seniors. You know, you've always had some seniors there and the people, but you know, we do have some of our juniors and sophomores that have played quite a bit, and you know, I think just throughout the course of the season, it's a growing process for them to figure out and you know, I mean, they started out and they were the great thing is they were kind of fearless, you know, just going after it, and as you go throughout a season you got to keep growing, and the interesting part is doing it with a young team, and everybody's giving you know, their best shot every single night. Getting a young team to just be that consistent every night, you know, and it's been a great process throughout, and really proud of our kids.
Must be gratifying for you as a coach. I mean, it's probably fun as a coach to have a team that is young that can grow a lot, right? I mean, has that been fun for you, just working with younger players?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's things that you grow to like too about having, you know, your vets that are there, where, you know, they know how to just maybe take an intense moment and calm it down. But sometimes, you know, having younger kids that haven't been through that, but yet they're kind of fearless going through it, it's definitely something that's a little bit new and exciting to have done. You know, like I said, I haven't been a part of having so few upperclassmen before, but just watching them, you know, continue to get better throughout everything that we've done, and putting out great efforts, you know, and some of it they're having to learn on the fly too. So it's definitely been exciting. It's been fun. It's you know, it's just different, I guess, being young. But at this point of the season, you've kind of gone through multiple games now, and technically though they're now vets, so they're doing a great job.
Right, Johnson joining us here on Nuanez Now 102.9 ESPN Radio. And one of the reasons I want to attack you is because you've been around the Big Sky for so long. So I think it's just interesting to get sort of your perspective on how the league has changed. You're at Northern Colorado for a long time, then at Idaho State, which is obviously coming up on the schedule this weekend. So how have you seen just the league itself and also just college basketball in general evolve over these last 20 or so years?
Yeah, boy, I mean, I could go back to my first days all the way back to Northern Colorado there. And I think I came in there, Trish had been here at Montana State for a year, maybe two. But it was interesting coming in then. And at that time, we were a transitioning team from D2 to D1. And, you know, boy, it was like, we came in and here's, you know, Montana, and Montana State was starting to make that move up the ladder a little bit. And some of these other teams that were great at the time, you know, Portland State was really good. And but all of those things have kind of ebbed and flowed a little bit over the course of the years. With different coaches coming in, and you know, I've probably seen almost every single school change a coach except for, gosh, I think it might only be Montana State that hasn't changed a coach since I've been in the league, and you know, Trish has been the mainstay here. But yeah, it's just it's pretty cool getting to watch you know, this conference grow, and you know, it went from having some other teams in, and then they left, and some of those teams are coming back now. You know, so it's kind of been interesting following it all along. But the amazing thing about this conference has been that, you know, I don't know many other conferences where you come across so many head coaches with different styles, and have been really successful with those, and you know, over the years, and you definitely have to be on your toes every single game because all these coaches are just, they're so well versed and I mean, from myself as a coach, it certainly, helped me grow as a coach. I'm just seeing all these different styles over the years and how people have changed and evolved and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Well, working with the longest tenured coach in the league and being on such a veteran staff, too, because, I mean, Sonny Small has also been around the game forever as well. So, I mean, how do you think that adds to it? Because, I mean, that's three people that have been around college basketball for a really long time when you include yourself as well, and including two of you that have been around the league for 20-plus years. So, I mean, how much do you think that adds, and what's it like just working for somebody like Coach Binford that has, been through it all and been there for 20-plus years?
Yeah, I mean, I think just a lot of the experience across the board with everybody on our staff, and I mean, even our younger coaches have brought a lot to the table already. So, but. Having been around, I think you just the easy part about it is that you know where everything's at, and you're kind of used to and accustomed to. Man, when we go to Dahlberg, there's going to be a big crowd. Or when I was at other schools, and we would come up here, and we're like, yeah, there's going to be a big crowd, and just kind of seeing some of those things, helps you go through the course of the year. But I had known Trish back when. It was basically the year she took the head job is when we first met a long time ago. But, watching her really just grow and evolve this program, from her first years, I know it wasn't easy at the beginning, but, her and then she got Sonny in here and they really started to turn the corner with the program. But just watching all the things that she's done over the years and how much success she's had, it's been great working with somebody like that and with people with a lot of veteran experience. But it's also been great with our younger coaches have brought so much to the table as well too. So, yeah, I mean, it's just having a lot of experiences. It's great because and sometimes though you got to be like, okay, how can we take all that experience though, and we got to condense it down and make it not so that we're overwhelming the players or things like that, and also not over analyzing things ourselves, I guess.
Just the culture of positivity. I mean, I love covering your team because every single girl seems like they're always cheerful. They're in a good mood. It's fun to talk to them. There's just so much good energy around there right now. So just tell me about that part. How have you guys been able to cultivate that?
Well, I think that most of that starts initially in the recruiting process, of being very deliberate of, and Sonny does a great job of really helping hone in what our core values are for our team, making sure that the kids that come here, that they really fit that. But, then you get that sort of core there. And those kids also are part of the process as you're bringing them in, that they're like, yeah, we love this kid. We want her on our team with us, and I think probably, like people attract like people in that way of, just how upbeat and positive and just good people, that's if there's a major compliment that we always hear from people around the program is like, man, you have such great kids. They're so nice. They're so engaging. And yes, that's part of what we cultivate, but they're just, that's the type of people they are. And I think through the recruiting process and things like that tends to draw more of those type of people here. But yeah, I mean, I got to put most of that towards Trish and Sonny having, built that sort of culture around here of like, that's what we want to be. And it's just an amazing part to be a part of.
Brian Johnson joining us, Montana State women's basketball associate head coach, as the Bobcats prepare for a homestand coming up this weekend. And certainly Weber State's up first, but I wanted to ask you about the crossover with Idaho State because you were there for about 8 years as well. And I've always found it fascinating, just like the differences in styles between Idaho State and Montana State, right? And how it's always been good games. Like everybody looks at the Lady Grizz and Montana State as the rival. That's certainly the big rivalry. But there's been a rivalry between Idaho State and Montana State for a long time too, right? Because there's been such good teams over the years that have been battling it out for conference titles, and that's a part of this again. So just sort of being on both sides of it. Why do you think it has always been so competitive between these two schools and these two programs?
Well, I mean, I think you have two really veteran coaches that have distinct styles, and they've developed their programs, and I think when you have people that have been around quite a long time, as those veteran coaches have, they know what they want out of their kids, and they get their kids to play to a certain style, and they are very just well coached and well managed. So, a lot of times when it comes to those games, it's just who can kind of execute best, because they're always going to give their best shots every night that they come out. So I just think it's a lot of it, you got to give it they're very veteran coaches, and, they know what they want to do. And at the same time, they've gone against each other for so long, they kind of know what the other is possibly going to do. And they prepare their teams well to go into those matchups. So,
well, obviously there's some retribution that's maybe on the line on Saturday. First of all, obviously you got to get through Weber on Thursday, but just 1 or 2 conference losses for Montana State so far came there in Pocatello. So what do you think of just the matchups this weekend that are coming up, and how do you take care of business and keep on staying in the mix for a conference title?
Yeah, well, we've got Weber coming up first, and that's really the only thing that's on our mind. We're not going to worry about the second game until we've got to take care of business from game to game to game. And that's kind of been our mantra for a while, is that, we're not focusing beyond what the next game is. There's every game is a battle, and every game's something that you got to get prepared for. But, Weber's playing better. And they're coming off a good win against a tough Eastern Washington team too. And, we got to be ready for them first. So, I think that's kind of just first and foremost on the docket, is we got to just be ready to, they've changed and adjusted a couple of things over the past couple of weeks, but so we've got to be prepared and ready to go.
Ryan Johnson here on Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Coach, appreciate the time. Thanks so much for being here, and we'll catch up with you down the road, but good luck this weekend.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Coulter. Thanks for having me on.
Ryan Johnson, Montana State women's basketball. You want Lady Grizz tickets for tonight? Idaho State is here this evening, so we got them for you. We can text them right to your phone, 406-888-1029. Let us know. Text us. You want tickets? We can give you up to 4 of them. So hit us up, 406-888-1029. Take a break, come back, and keep on talking prep basketball. And a little bit more Big Sky, too. I have one more thing to say about the Women's League as well. That's next. Keep it right here, 102.9 ESPN Radio.
Cold weather cravings? The Montana Club has got you covered with scratch-made comfort food to match every craving. From perfectly grilled steaks to satisfying salads, they're ready to handle your hunger. So grab a table with a reservation or keep it casual and order delivery straight to your door. Great food made easy. Visit MontanaClub.com to order or reserve and come warm up at your Montana Club. Brooks and North Reserve, Missoula.
From the opening face-off to the final horn, Grizz Hockey was backed by the best fans in college hockey. That's Grizz Nation at the Glacier Ice Rink. All season long, you brought the noise, brought the pride, and turned every game into a battle. Big hits, last-second goals, heart-pounding moments. University of Montana Hockey doesn't do it without you, and we mean that. So keep packing the rink, keep raising the volume, and keep backing the Grizz for years to come. Thank you, Missoula, for your continued support of Montana Grizzly Hockey.
Did you know that if you have dense breasts, or any breasts for that matter, a screening mammogram or ultrasound can miss up to half of breast cancers? At Montana Imaging Center in Missoula, we now offer screening breast MRI, the best way to find cancer early. Tell your doctor you'd like to have a referral sent to Montana Imaging Center, where you'll save up to 90% on breast MRIs. Fridays at Montana Imaging Center, join us for Breast Fridays Ever. It's a relaxing, non-hospital screening experience with chocolates, champagne, and sometimes an emotional support puppy running around. Visit montanaimaging.com for more info.
Axman is doing some spring cleaning. Our in-stock Viking hot tubs are priced to move to help make room for new hot tubs. $1,200 in savings, including free installation, or take advantage of 24 months 0% financing. Want bigger savings? Get up to $1,500 cash off for select in-stock hot tubs. Sale ends February 28th. Evening and weekend appointments are available. Axman, 3 miles west of the Missoula Airport and online at axman.com.
If you're in search of a trading card of your favorite player, or if your kids are, swing into Zootown Sports Cards. If there's a card of a player you're searching for, Zootown Sports Cards has the cards. With an almost endless collection of singles and inserts, whatever and whoever you're in the market for, Zootown Sports Cards has it. 1990s NBA stars, Zootown has it. 2000s football players, Zootown has it. And looking through the collection is half of the fun. Come check out all of what Zootown Sports Cards has to offer in the Stevens Center in Missoula.
You know the kind of place. Comfy red booths, bottle of ketchup already on the table, the low hum of conversation, and the smell of something good on the grill. That feeling is waiting for you with lunch at Liquid Planet Grill. On Brook Street, lunch feels like it used to. Burgers stacked high, sandwiches made fresh to order, breakfast meals all day, and coffee that just keeps coming. It's the kind of spot where you slide into a booth and stay a while. No rush, no fuss, just scratch-made food and a warm welcome. Liquid Planet Grill on Brooks, where lunch feels like it ought to.
It's Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Missoula. Watch the show statewide on SWX Montana Television.
Welcome back. Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio. Appreciate you for kicking it here with us. I'm Colter Nuanez coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal studio. Grizzly Disposal, locally owned, veteran-owned, and the only Bears that should be in your garbage. It's a Thursday. That means it's a Thirsty Thursday. We got DraftWorks for you, $25 gift card. That's going to get you some good traction down there at the tap room. DraftWorks is located there on Toole Avenue. If you haven't been there, it's a great place to hang out. Even if you want to, like, one thing we do sometimes, we just go have a beer, and there's like a whole kids play area there, so you can like play. It's something to do with your kids while you sip on a cold brew. It's awesome. Love DraftWorks, and I know you guys do too, because every time we do this giveaway, the phone blows up. If you want a $25 gift card to DraftWorks, 406-888-1029. That's 888-1029. Call it or text it, 406-888-1029. The Lady Girls play tonight, Idaho State. So one quick dot on that. I don't think the Lady Grizz are completely dead in the water, but this has certainly been a tough year, and they've stacked quite a few pretty tough years. I mean, they were pretty good the last couple of years under Brian Holsinger, but also dysfunctional. You could tell. I mean, last year they finished 14-18, so that was not great. 23-10 the year before that, and then in year one, they were 14-16. So the high water mark was the 23-10 year. They had some good talent that year for sure. But it was always that was sort of the outlier season in what has been mostly pretty tough years otherwise for the Lady Grizz. And this year I just don't. Again, I don't think they're completely dead in the water. And the only reason I don't think they're 4-9 in league, so I mean it has not gone great. Their 4 wins all came in a row, so this has certainly been an uneven year. 5 losses, 4 wins, 4 losses. Idaho State's going to be a tough one tonight. The Bengals are good, but the Lady Grizz, that's their best win. They won in Pocatello. So if they can replicate that, that's the thing is when I say if they can replicate that, what is the things that helped Montana win at Idaho State earlier this year? Well, number one, they hit 15 threes. Okay? That's hard to replicate, but it's not impossible. It's the number one reason why the Lady Grizz aren't dead in the water. If the Lady Grizz go hit 15 threes in a tournament game, they can win a tournament game. If they had if they had 12 plus in a couple, they could make a run. But it's also the style where if you go and you're 3 of 25 in the tournament, you could be going home real quick in real embarrassing fashion. So that's all to say. I think that this team, they have some definitive holes. This is the second time they've transitioned coaches for the Lady Grizz where it's been an unenviable situation. I thought when Shannon Schwain and that whole disaster went down and the mishandling of that whole firing, and then then the collision that it had right up against the pandemic year as well. And then to make Mike Petrino the interim coach and have that be such an elongated interim tag, that was tough. And then, they should have first of all, they should have just taken care of business in the firing initially, then done a national search. They could have remedied a lot of stuff, a lot of growing pains. But then you also just have the way Brian Holsinger and the physical assault of a fellow staff member, and then the non-renewal / dismissal, but they didn't officially fire him. It's a weird situation for Nate Harris to inherit. And a lot of times when you have a coach that gets fired and or forced out, and then the assistant, there's an internal hire for the rest of a season, is completely not uncommon. It's in fact very common for you to see an upswing briefly. Marty Morwig and I talk about this a lot during the NFL season. When there's a coach fired in season, that team is probably going to play pretty well the next week or even for 2 weeks. But can they play really well then? Say there's 6 weeks left. Can they actually surge all the way down the stretch? Like this happened with Antonio Pierce with the Raiders, right? You get the upswing and then you run out of juice. But then it's about what you do the next year, but also then the next year after that, right? That's where I expect Montana to probably have a complete complete makeover, complete renovation of their roster. And at the end of the day, it just comes down to getting veteran talent, right? Like this year's team only has one senior, but the Bobcats are in second place and they don't have any seniors. So maybe that's not an excuse, but I do think you have to have some semblance of veteran talent. And I just hope for the state of Montana and for the city of Missoula that the Lady Grizz can get back to being at least in the mix, right? Like you just don't want to see a 4-9 team, right? Their holes are so obvious, but also like so hard to remedy within the scope of a season, right? Like when it's so apparent early on that you're going to be a team that struggles to rebound. You can work on rebounding all the livelong day, but if you don't actually have size and athleticism to go rebound, it's going to be a tall task, right? When you've defined this style, I mean, there's been styles like this that have worked in college basketball across the board. This 5-out style. It worked great for the Lady Grizz down the stretch last year and through the Big Sky tournament. It just makes it so that the NBA is a make-or-miss league. Those are professionals getting paid tens of millions of dollars. If you play a make-or-miss game in mid-major college basketball on the men's or women's side, it makes a precarious situation. Like there's been a lot of really good teams on both the men's and women's sides that could win games when they don't make shots. If you winning games, if you already have a hard time getting stops and you already have a hard time rebounding, and then your entire formula comes down to do you make 15 threes or not, that's going to mean that you're going to come up short of making 15 threes and subsequently lose a bunch of games because of it. But can you get to the point where you make 14 or 15 threes often? If you can, and so you can sustainably figure that out, and then you can get at least serviceable defensively and at least competitive on the boards, now you have a team that could be a nightmare matchup for everybody. Like you saw Tricia Binford, Montana State women's basketball coach, playing her starters deep into the second half, deep into the fourth quarter, even with her team having between a 13 and a 17-point lead. It's because she knew Lady Grizz can just snap off four threes in 4 possessions, and all of a sudden your 14-point lead is 2, right? So she kept a lot of her defensive stalwarts in there because she knew what the potential is. It's just a matter of smoothing that potential out and getting that potential to be more consistent. Nuanez Now, 129 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. Colter Nuanez coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal Studio. We'll take a break. Come back with hour number 2. Brooks Nuanez talking all things Bobby Houck retiring and some NFL. Did the Seahawks re-sign some of their best players? You might be surprised at my answer. That's next. Keep it right here, 102.9 ESPN Radio.
Feeling inspired by the Winter Olympics but don't have any ice sports experience? Come to Glacier Ice Rink this Saturday and we'll get you started. Our Winter Games Tri-Day features skating, curling, and sled hockey sessions that introduce beginners to these sports in a fun, safe environment. If you're more of a spectator, we've got hockey games throughout the day, including a USA versus Canada matchup. Pre-registration is required, so visit glacierIcerink.com to sign up. Glacier Ice Rink's Winter Games Tri-Day this Saturday.
Uh-oh. Fender bender? Did you hit a deer? Or something worse? Action Auto Body Missoula brings your car back to life. Their expert technicians use state-of-the-art equipment to get you back on the road fast. Insurance claims? No problem. Quality repairs? Guaranteed. When accidents happen, take action. Call Action Auto Body Missoula today. 406-728-9220. That's 406-728-9220. Or visit actionautobodymt.com. Action Auto Body Missoula, where Missoula's cars come back to life.
All Nations Health Center is committed to keeping you vibrant and full of energy by supporting your physical, mental, and spiritual health. All Nations Health Center in Missoula offers a variety of services to the Indigenous and non-Indigenous people of Western Montana. All Nations offers primary care doctors, behavioral health services, mental health counseling, and even dental. All Nations currently serves more than 2,000 registered clients who are proud Indigenous people. For more information about how All Nations Health Center can help you, visit allnations.health.
Canby Tap House is well known for having one of the best and biggest selections of tap beers anywhere in Montana. Did you know that Canby Tap House also has wine on tap? Wine on Tap gives Canby the ability to offer unique varieties of wines from all over the world at a good price point, and it's guaranteed to be fresh. Canby Tap House and Coffee has become a Missoula favorite. Swing in to see why. Canby has delicious food, an array of beverage options, and fresh wine on tap. Canby Tap House, located on Higgins across from Dornblazer Field in Missoula.
Hey, it's Colter Nuanez from your favorite daily sports talk show, Nuanez Now, and I want to buy you a meal on your birthday at Paradise Falls. If it's your birthday, head on over to Paradise Falls at 3621 Brook Street, and I will buy you a birthday entree. All you have to do is go into the family-friendly Missoula favorite, present your ID, and the entree is on me. Birthday meals courtesy of Nuanez Now at Paradise Falls, a family-friendly restaurant serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner. If it's your birthday, head over to Paradise Falls, Missoula's coolest hotspot.
Have you ever wanted to learn how to fix a beloved item of yours but didn't know how? A Fix-It Clinic allows community members to bring their worn, broken, or malfunctioning items to learn how to repair them. Volunteer Fix-It coaches help repair items for free by sharing their knowledge and skills to assist attendees. The next Fix-It Clinic will take place at The Space DIY Studio, 129 South 4th Street West on February 28th from 11 to 2 p.m. For more information, visit the Fix-It Clinic page or email nick@homeresource.org.
ESPN Radio for Western Montana, KKVU HD3 Stevensville, and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula. ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
The greatest FCS dynasty of all time is headed to the FBS, and so is the West Coast school making the most noise. Hello, I am Hayden Smith. Last week, North Dakota State announced it was joining the Mountain West Conference. The Bison end their tenure in the FCS with 10 national titles, all since 2011. Overall, NDSU has won 18 national titles as they head to the top division of college football. Only the Bison football team will be joining the Mountain West. The rest of the sports will stay in the Summit League. The price tag to move up to the Mountain West for the Bison is $17 million, including $12 million that goes directly to their new league. Earlier this week, Sacramento State also declared it would be moving to the FBS. The Hornets previously tried to make the move as an FBS independent, but were denied. Sac State then planned on leaving the Big Sky Conference and going independent in the FCS. On Tuesday, Sac accepted an invitation to join the Mid-American Conference. The Hornets will pay the MAC $25 million total to make the transition to a league more than 2,500 miles away from California's capital. The movement by NDSU and Sac Sac State are the latest in a shakeup for college football conferences around the West. With the erosion of the former Pac-12, Boise State, Colorado State, Fresno State, San Diego State, and Utah State are joining the league. That meant Northern Illinois, Texas El Paso, and NDSU are joining the Mountain West.
This is Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Radio Missoula.
Welcome back. 102.9 ESPN Radio. Probably all things considered, probably my favorite Pearl Jam song. Hope you're having a great day. Another week in the books almost. It's a Big Sky basketball evening this evening. So if you'd like to go to Lady Grizz game tonight, text us 406-888-1029. That's 888-1029, Idaho State in town. We are coming to you, as always, through the Grizzly Disposal Studios. Grizzly Disposal has one bin recycling. You'd like to add the service or make the switch, or both, 406-541-7171. That's 406-541-7171, Grizzly Disposal. Locally owned, veteran owned, the only Bears that should be in your garbage. Missing the show today, we talked some women's hoops, talked about the Lady Grizz and just sort of the finite margin for error that they have, playing as sort of a make or miss team right now. How do they turn the corner? I don't know. I think at this point you can't unless you just make shots. That's what it's going to take for them to win games here in the remainder of at least this here regular season. We also heard from Ryan Johnson, a veteran of the Big Sky Conference on the women's side, and we also heard from Jeff Safford and Hayden Smith talking all things hockey after the golden goal by the United States women. What a crazy comeback first, and then overtime victory for America as they take home the gold with a win over Canada in women's hockey. Gold medal game coming up on the men's side tomorrow. All that on the podcast, available on all your various podcast hosting platforms. For football. Well, football all the time. Here on ESPN Radio, Colter Nuanez, Brooks Nuanez coming to you from the Grizzly Disposal Studio. Thanks to our great friends at Sportsbet Montana. This is our last all football all the time. We'll be parlaying, pun intended, into some March Madness stuff coming up and whatever sports around the corner. But I have a couple of things to finish up with Brooks on. First of all, he and I recorded about, 30 to 40 minutes worth of a podcast last week just about Bobby Hauck's retirement at Montana. We're going to then finish that conversation here because I think there's three big questions that I wanted to ask Brooks that we have not gotten to yet. So if you want to hear the beginning part of that, you can find that, and then this is the end part of that conversation. If you're just listening on the radio, that's fine. You can always find this on the Nuanez Now podcast, and then we'll have a couple questions about the NFL as well. First of all, you just got done watching a thriller. What'd you think?
I mean,
for the gold.
Women's hockey is newer to me as a sport. Hockey in general, I'm pretty relatively versed in. It's not necessarily my forte, but I know enough about hockey to get by and really enjoy watching it. But women's hockey, USA wins gold in overtime with a goal under 2 minutes, empty netter in regulation. Man, yeah, it's what's better than an overtime goal for the gold medal over your rival in Canada.
That's pretty good.
It's pretty darn good.
Should the colleges in Montana explore adding women's hockey?
I don't see why not. I mean, regionally it makes a lot of sense, and obviously there's momentum with hockey in general, so sure, Colt, I have no reason not to.
The reason would be money, right? But if and when this all fractures and there's going to be a necessity to expand the athletic department footprints because you're going to expand football, as long as Title IX stays in place, you're going to probably have to add at least one women's sport. It seems like the women's sport you'd add, right?
I went down to Glacier Ice Rink recently, just before Cat Grizz hockey was rolling out. I walked into a youth tournament, and I was surprised to say that every person walking out, and then the athletes on the ice, we're all women. We're all young girls.
See, there you go.
And I said, wow, this is obviously a vibrant community that I'm not tapped into, and maybe it's a good fit.
Yeah, so it would be cool if just because of I think first the rarity. I'm not even going to say novelty because it's not novel. It's just not as common. But I think that would be a big deal if we could have that But I'm just pipe dreaming. All right, so let's talk Bobby Hauck retiring. So we went through sort of the timelines and the logistics and all this sort of stuff in the pod, and you can find that on the Big Sky Breakdown podcast. There's one thing, it's so funny because we have people of such a wide demographic of ages that listen to us talk. We have all sorts of people that are significantly older than us, even older than our parents. We have a whole bunch of people that are a little bit older than us. We have a whole bunch of people that are our age. We have a whole bunch of people that are way younger than us. And I do think that there is a little bit of an age demo here that is that's sort of not resoundingly and exclusively tied to how people feel about this, but I do get sort of the perception that fans of a certain age, older Grizz fans, are sad about Bobby Hauck leaving, more sad, and younger are sort of like, okay, but all good things come to an end, and let's see what Bobby Kennedy can do. Let's see the new, let's get a fresh look here. What do you think just about that dynamic?
I think that both can be true at the same time. I think, Colter, when we really discuss the pros and cons of this, I do find a lot of equal weight in the fact that while Bobby Hauck calls Grizz football it's his program, it's the thing that he built. It has his fingerprints on it more than any other contributor. I do think that is maybe a personal opinion. Aside from that, I do think that Grizz football stands alone as its own massive entity that has so much momentum as a whole, but in individual pieces throughout the program. When you talk about the legacy, the branding, the style, the game day atmosphere, you could go through each little individual piece of what makes the DNA of Grizz football. And whether Bobby Hauck is included in that or not, sure, within the fabric of that DNA, but he is not the whole strand. I think that the whole strand is strong enough to stand on its own. So that being said, I do think that there's some positives with change, obviously. But I've cautioned Grizz fans across the board, and I've said this about game day environments. I've said this about big 13-win seasons. Me being critical of those seasons at times, just the nuances of them, is you sometimes don't wish what you didn't ask for. When something comes down the pipe and it says, hey, all of a sudden now we're winning 9 games and atmosphere isn't quite the same, and maybe we loved Bobby Hauck back in the day and we just maybe we missed it in the moment to really sit down, put some gratitude towards it and say, wow, this is a really good thing. So do I think that's going to happen? No, but this opens the door for change that was maybe not as stable.
Thought about this a lot. Montana football has been through a ton over the last 15 years. There was such a huge... First of all, there was just the doldrums of the first part of the Big Sky Conference era in the 60s and the 70s, and people sort of forget how much Montana State dominated during that time. Montana State won 2 national championships in the span of 20 years between 1956 and 1976. When the Big Sky was founded in 1963, the Cats won 22 of the first 30 rivalry games. So domination, and you had figures like Sonny Holland and Sonny Lubick, et cetera, Jim Sweeney, guys that are college football Hall of Fame type coaches. And Montana sort of got it going in the early 1980s. If you look straight ahead, I got the picture of the 1982 Grizz up there on the studio wall, and that's sort of the first team that moved the needle in the modern era. They won the Big Sky title. Marty Mornaweg was the quarterback on that team. Brian Salonen was the All-American tight end. They had some great guys that are still around town. I know a lot of those guys still listen. But then again, it took another 10 years to actually get to the point where it was like perennially in the playoffs, et cetera, et cetera. But then they had it there. But over the last 15 years, you're talking now, Bobby Kennedy is let's count them up, Robin Pflugrad, Mick Delaney, Bob Stitt, Bobby Hauck. Bobby Kennedy's the 5th coach in the last 15 years. That alone is enough to send a program into some unevenness, some inconsistencies. Then you talk about all the varying levels of scandal or whatever word you want to use for everything that happened in Missoula that then led to the Department of Justice being in town, the NCAA being in town, investigations and regulations and sanctions and losses of scholarships and all that sort of stuff. All of that, if you were then to have like a program that fell flat on its face and needed a fundamental, complete rebuild, it would completely be understandable. And the rock bottom for Montana was one losing season and 3 times missing the playoffs. That's it. Like, for most of every other program in the country at any level of football, if you had all of that stuff happen in the span of 15 years, there's no way that team would make the postseason 12 out of 15 times. I think about how long it took SMU to bounce back. And obviously the sanctions were much more serious there, but Baylor, like, there's lots of places that have had scandals. The fact that it bounced back so heavily, it shows you, like what you're talking about, the momentum and the foundation and the stability and all that stuff that exists for stuff that's so much bigger than one individual person. I think that's the part that fascinates me most. Is I think there's a lot of people within the community and within Grizz Nation that think that Bobby Hauck is the perfect person for the Grizz football job. I think there's others that think that Bobby Hauck is a good to great person for it, but there's a lot of things that he left on the table. And that's what I'm so interested to see is where does that land as we move forward, whether it's Bobby Kennedy or not. Perhaps there is unbelievable untapped potential for Montana football, or perhaps they've been maxing it out, and that's as good as it's ever going to get. That's the thing that's so fascinating to me, because we don't know the answer to that question.
Oh, we certainly know the answer to that question. There's a lot to unpack with what you just said. I'll start forward going backwards. We certainly know the answer to the question. The sky is the limit, and it has not been tapped.
Yeah.
There's no possible way you can say it has been tapped. When the Grizz...
They haven't won a national championship in 25 years, and that's crazy considering all the different teams that have. Like, North Dakota State wasn't even Division I 25 years ago. They've won 10.
To talk about leaving stuff on the table, I mean, I could go on to this with my opinion on this ad nauseum. I will leave it as completely untapped. There's no way you can say it's not. The Grizz went from working out in a dungeon with 7-foot styrofoam ceilings to the most state-of-the-art workout facility, championship pedigree facility in the Pacific Inland Northwest, and have gotten slower,
definitely besides
smaller,
Washington and Oregon, but yes, point well taken.
Inland, Pacific Northwest, have gotten smaller, slower, and less developed on the lines.
Yep.
Okay, that's we're talking about. That's a fundamental fact. There's nothing, no two ways around that. Anybody who's been around the program would agree with that point. That being said, we back it up one step, and you say that a team who goes through 15 years of the turmoil that the University of Montana program did could never be as stable or bounce back the way that Montana did. SMU and Baylor were not playing Northern Colorado. I'll leave that as a short statement of SMU and Baylor were not playing, a downtrodden, the bad years of Eastern or Idaho State, right? The Grizz have a tremendous home field advantage. They play in a league that is built for them to be successful in. They play a travel schedule that is going to guarantee them home games for 75% of the season, and they play in a stadium that provides a 80% win rate. What's the win rate at Washington Grizz? 85?
Oh man, they lost 37 home games in
150
40 years.
Right. So we're talking about, let's call it, a 90% clip. So all of those things play into what my main point is there has been plenty left on the table, and that is only coming from someone who has been around it and understands the expectations that the university itself provides, the football program itself, but also the city of Missoula, the institutional greatness around football, and what people understand and know about football, and what they hope and perceive each season going into is going to lead into is a national championship. And while they've been close at times, I would argue that in that 25 years they've been further than you would ever imagine if you really look at it from a 10,000-foot view.
Brooks Nuanez, Colter Nuanez here on All Football All the Time, proudly presented by Sportsbet Montana. The Grizzlies, after last year, they went 9-1 at home. They are 245 wins versus 38 losses. That is an 87.5% win percentage. Pretty good.
The same percentage that NFL kickers hit field goals, but everyone thinks they're bad. So we have a high standard around here. Does my point taken that if you go to 3 national championships in 25 years and you only have a chance to really win one of them, that's not good enough?
Four of them. But still, I mean, there was a moment in time when the Grizz were producing NFL players at a rate that was on par with the top 25 schools in the country.
NFL draft picks.
Yeah. I mean, like the 2007 Grizz had NFL draft picks at all 3 levels of their defense, plus NFL draft picks at what? All the skill positions besides the quarterback, but the quarterback was a CFL guy, and that team went 1 and done in the playoffs. So
drinking chocolate milk, lifting Bam Bam Bigelow dumbbells, dude. It's a different thing. Practicing on grass. There's no bubble. There's no turf. There's no any of it.
Yep, it's there's definitely some stuff that can, in terms of reaching the ceiling, that can be added. What did you make of then? There's a lot of people that are saying that Bobby Hauck is disingenuous for taking another job.
I thought it was right on brand.
I thought that, first of all, if you listen to the press conference, that he basically said it. He said, "I'm done being a head coach, but I don't know where the road's going to lead me." But he was implying.
I was blown away when he said that. I was like, "Man, I wonder how long it's going to be." Yeah. I thought it would be a year, but
yeah,
I thought he'd just take a year off.
I thought so too.
I think it'd probably be healthy for him.
Yeah,
just as a person, but that's not here nor there.
So then, what do you make of just the retiring for 5 days and then coming back to Illinois? Because a lot of people are saying, that I think a lot of the people that thought, "Oh no, Coach Hauck is leaving," thought, "Wow, he's leaving for all the right reasons. He doesn't like all this new age stuff."
Right. And then he goes to the biggest new age.
Takes a Big Ten job for triple the salary.
Yeah, we're talking about like new age. So it can be true at the same time that this was a situation gets for me when I hear about this, when I'm experiencing Coach Hauck retiring. I'm blown away. I'm like, this is, and then I watch I'm at the presser listening to him speak it from his lips, and I go, wow, this is so on brand, because there was a piece of this narrative that started to be out of his control.
Right.
And he swiftly took control of it.
Yep.
How on brand is that for Coach Hauck, right?
Exactly.
And it's not me. It's people like me who are sitting here talking about how this isn't good enough. The last 25 years isn't good enough. I think he's looking at this whole picture and saying, Grizz football is me. It's one of the best programs in the country. Every single coach in the country would say this is one of the best jobs in the country. And people around here don't think it's good enough. Well, watch this. Watch this.
Yeah.
And I think that the athletic department starts to feel pressure. There's change in leadership at the highest level with the presidency and things like that. And you start to look around and say, who's going to be in control of this and who's going to make all the final calls? And I think that Coach Hauck realized for the first time in maybe his entire career that the ball might not be in his court. And
is that exclusively because Montana State won the Natty?
I think that's the catalyst.
You can't you can spin 13-2 semifinals of the playoffs all the live long day if you win at least one, if not both of the rivalry games or whatever. Like if you're 13-2 with losses to Idaho State and Drake, which are way worse than losses to Montana State, you can still spin it way easier than you can spin it when the neighbors win the national championship, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, and it's such a culmination of losing 8 of the last 10 to the Cats.
Right.
Or 9 of the last 11. I don't know if the Super Bowl is included in 8 of the 10, is it, when we talk about 8 of the last 10?
It is, yeah.
Right. You lose 4 to Choate in a row, and then you win a couple as interspersed, and then you lose now, 4 in a row again? Mm-hmm. I think that it's not
3
just...
3 in a row, yeah.
3 in a row again? Yeah, that's right. One the year before. I don't think it was the Cats winning the Natty. I think it was the momentum that the Cats have built over the last decade under Coach Hauck.
That's what I think.
They've built it. The whole tidal wave is under his watch.
That's right. That's the number. That's the tipping point for me. Is that, and this is my own dissertation, but when the Grizz go 13-2, and they lose to the rival twice, and there's no contract extension that's offered. And Kent Haslam came on the show and he said it was not discussed, and that's not the way that Bobby Hauck and his agent operate. I probably believe that that's true.
I think that's true too.
But also, the athletic department can say, "Great year, here's an extension," or "Let's talk about one." So it's mutual. Doesn't matter if this side doesn't come to the table; it's mutual. Okay.
Unfortunately, that's not how Coach Hauck works for one reason, and Kent Haslam doesn't work like that for the opposite reason.
Sure, right. Regardless, there was an undefined definition that next year was going to come down to being better than they were this year, which includes one thing.
One thing.
That's beating the national champs.
No doubt.
And that's where you're saying, like,
yes,
that's where the narrative gets out of control.
It does.
So you're telling me if we go 15-2 and one of the losses is in Bozeman and the other one's in the national championship game, I'm out, then I'm out. I'm not going to let it come down to that. See you guys later.
Correct.
Last question on this. Should Montana State people coming off of a national championship be happy or sad that the Grizz have a change in leadership?
Sad. Yeah, I think that's the only thing that could shake shake it up and change things.
Yeah.
There has to be a different approach. And there has to be a different approach in more or less one thing. And I could beat the strength conditioning thing to death. There has to be a different approach in how you recruit and retain born and bred Montana kids.
And then all the things that go into that. How do you primarily recruit and develop Montana kids for sure? But then how do you also secondarily build a brand that's undeniable for those kids to buy into? That's been the part where, like, Brett Vegan is one of the most ruthless competitors I've ever seen in his ability to dominate that element of this without doing it in an outward fashion whatsoever. Like, he is whooping. Brett Vegan has had the upper hand in all the stuff that has nothing to do with on the field every second since he took over at Montana State. And I know that that's a concerted effort as well as just a circumstance of how the person on the other side is. But that sort of stuff is where the momentum manifests itself, like, completely out of control, right? Like, you're getting in the door of whoever you want. I mean, it's cut and dry in the sand. All the best guys in Montana have been going to Montana State. And so much of it has to do with all of the things that surround the narrative around these programs. Everything from how you dress in a press conference, to how you conduct a press conference, to how you conduct yourself on social media, to the access that you provide to the people that cover you, to the way that you treat people in public situations in front of cameras. That all plays into what is the core of all of this, and that is, do you have the best, most developed Montana guys that you can retain that then carry you to the highest of heights?
Yeah, I mean, you hit it on the head, Coulter. The thing about that where I think Coach Houck has fallen behind, or where people's understanding or how they perceive how he's fallen behind, is that throughout his first tenure, that development and that culture of Montana guys, and those guys being the leaders, and those guys being the alphas, and those guys pushing the weight culture forward, and those guys pushing the practice culture forward, was player driven.
Yes.
And kids aren't like that anymore. So they need a helping hand.
But then they are.
Of course
the
they
national
are.
championship
No,
teams.
of course they are. Of course they are. I'm saying that they need a helping hand. That it can't. Coach Houck's thing was, you create a military. The leaders rise to the top through conflict.
Yes.
And then now there's a hierarchy. These guys need a little bit of leadership internally. When you talk about being a players program, Coach Houck has run a quote unquote players program where it's really just a hierarchy of tough dudes. Nowadays, these guys need a players program where they're encouraged to be themselves. They're encouraged to do things that establish leadership outside of just cold-blooded fighting,
right?
Outside of, mat drills and choking each other out with a towel. Like, these guys need a meeting about how to be a leader, how to be a man, what our culture is going to be like. It needs to be talked about a little bit differently. Coach Houck just assumes it'll happen. And kids these days, everyone has a community. Everyone has outreach. Everyone has support in some way, whether it's from their communities, their families. Everyone has cooks in the kitchen. And your head coach has to be one of those guys. And I think that's where a quote-unquote players coach, we want to be players-driven, like Coach Bobby Kennedy says. That is talking more about how we nurture and manifest leadership rather than force it by conflict. And I think that will play into a new modern thing. That's what Brent Vegan does. He allows there to be plenty of competition and conflict, but he nurtures young men through a variety of different avenues by being a players coach through support. And it's such a different model. And honestly, it's just so much more modern than what Coach Houck was doing. And does Coach Houck's thing work? Yes, it absolutely works.
Yes.
And if you survive it, quote unquote, you will come out a likely better person, at least a stronger mental person.
Yeah.
And you will probably have benefits in your life through the program. No doubt, especially the connections you forge through such challenging circumstances that conflict provides. Does that make sense in the sense that there is a piece of nurturing that needs to be done in all of life? This isn't like some new soft thing. This is probably a development that needed to happen a long time ago, and it's probably helping kids look at what Montana State's churning out. When I watch them on the field close up, I'm not seeing soft kids who are being nurtured. No. I'm seeing dudes banging, absolutely killing people, and they're doing it together on the same page with communication. I think that there's a piece of that that can definitely improve.
The Press Box is the place to watch all your favorite sports. In the heart of Grizz Country, Press Box has great food and drinks with happy hour and lunch specials every weekday. Don't forget, Press Box has the best happy hour deal in town, Monday through Friday, between 4 and 6, $3 draft beers. That's right, any draft beer at the Press Box, from domestic light beers to IPAs to everything in between, $3 drafts between 4 and 6, Monday through Friday at the Press Box. Press Box also has 2 sports bet machines, so you can always get your bets in before the game starts. The Press Box on Broadway and Van Buren in Missoula.
Axman is doing some spring cleaning. Our in-stock Viking hot tubs are priced to move to help make room for new hot tubs. $1,200 in savings, including free installation, or take advantage of 24 months 0% financing. Want bigger savings? Get up to $1,500 cash off for select in-stock hot tubs. Sale ends February 28th. Evening and weekend appointments are available. Axman, 3 miles west of the Missoula Airport and online at axman.com.
The wait is over. Grizzly Disposal is now offering no-sort recycling. No more sorting and dragging it across town. They'll get it right from your house. Cans, cardboard, and plastic all in one bin. Handled by Grizzly Disposal. Visit grizzlydisposal.com to add on recycling to your plan or to switch over to Grizzly Disposal today. Give them a call, 541-7171. That's 541-7171. The best trash removal service in town just got better. Grizzly Disposal, the only bears that should be in your garbage.
I had some health concerns, so I decided to have the Healthy MRI full body screening at Montana Imaging Center. This screening can detect cancer and other conditions and disorders early. I had the most amazing experience with Dr. McHugh and his staff. Any nerves I had going in melted away. I received my results within minutes of getting out of the machine. Dr. McHugh reviewed everything with me, and I left with peace of mind knowing that I'm okay. I even learned things that made me feel optimistic about my health. Visit MontanaImagingCenter.com to book your Healthy MRI today and feel great about tomorrow.
Hi, I'm Brody Miller, real estate loan officer with Stockman Bank in Missoula. Having the right team guiding your path to homeownership is important. Experience the power of local banking where decisions are made right here in Montana. At Stockman, we deliver quick turnaround, professional service, building relationships one loan at a time. Stop in, give us a call, or apply online. Experience Montana's brand of banking. We're here to guide you home. Stockman Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
If you're in search of a trading card of your favorite player, or if your kids are, swing into Zootown Sports Cards. If there's a card of a player you're searching for, Zootown Sports Cards has the cards. With an almost endless collection of singles and inserts, whatever and whoever you're in the market for, Zootown Sports Cards has it. 1990s NBA stars, Zootown has it. 2000s football players, Zootown has it. And looking through the collection is half of the fun. Come check out all of what Zootown Sports Cards has to offer in the Stevens Center in Missoula.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
The greatest FCS dynasty of all time is headed to the FBS, and so is the West Coast school making the most noise. Hello, I am Hayden Smith. Last week, North Dakota State announced it was joining the Mountain West Conference. The Bison end their tenure in the FCS with 10 national titles, all since 2011. Overall, NDSU has won 18 national titles as they head to the top division of college football. Only the Bison football team will be joining the Mountain West. The rest of the sports will stay in the Summit League. The price tag to move up to the Mountain West for the Bison is $17 million, including $12 million that goes directly to their new league. Earlier this week, Sacramento State also declared it would be moving to the FBS. The Hornets previously tried to make the move as an FBS independent, but were denied. Sac State then planned on leaving the Big Sky Conference and going independent in the FCS. On Tuesday, Sac accepted an invitation to join the Mid-American Conference. The Hornets will pay the MAC $25 million total to make the transition to a league more than 2,500 miles away from California's capital. The movement by NDSU and Sac State are the latest in a shakeup for college football conferences around the West. With the erosion of the former Pac-12, Boise State, Colorado State, Fresno State, San Diego State, and Utah State are joining the league. That meant Northern Illinois, Texas El Paso, and NDSU are joining the Mountain West.
Nuanez Now on ESPN Radio.
Nuanez Now 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. Fair or foul, the Chicago Bears moving to Indiana. Have you followed this?
Whoa.
They're building their stadium in Hammond, Indiana, which is it's like 45 minutes from Chicago.
So this is what Kansas City's doing.
So this is it's not actually officially that the Bears are doing this, but they're plotting.
Kansas City is doing it.
I know they are. So they're going. Kansas City currently is in
Kansas City, Missouri,
but they're going to go over the river to Kansas because of tax reasons.
Yes,
right?
pretty much.
Same thing the San Francisco 49ers did to get out of San Francisco.
Correct.
They're in Santa Clara.
Yep.
The Warriors did the same thing. It's just making it's a much bigger. It's much more inflammatory, I think, for the
aren't the Giants in New Jersey?
East Rutherford. Yep. Yeah, it's just more inflammatory for the Bears because it's Soldier Field, which is one of the most hallowed venues in all of.
Yeah, Arrowhead's up there
for sure. The Chiefs didn't exist when the NFL started. The Bears did. That's the whole. That's the whole thing. I mean, the Bears are the original franchise. Like they were the first NFL champions.
Right.
You know, like George Halas and all this stuff. That is the origin point of the NFL. So I don't know. What do you think of? What do you make of this? Because I know Chicago people are freaking out about it, but
I would freak out. Yeah, I love the tradition of these long-term franchises. I mean, the Warriors was a big one, but we look back at more of like the Raiders, the Ravens, the Colts, the Rams. These teams that move inherently lose a little bit of this allure and this deep history that really matters. I think, especially in leagues like the NFL. I mean, all 3 or 4 of the major professional leagues have this. You know, I think the NHL is a little different because they have kind of an old guard of Canadian teams. They have an old guard of Northeast teams. Baseball obviously has intermingling with, you know, the Negro leagues and different leagues that have kind of aspired throughout the spread of baseball. But with football, you know, how long was the NFL around before the NFL-AFL merger? I mean, that was probably not very long.
The merger was in 1970.
But the Super Bowl, the first Super Bowls were the World Championship.
1967 was the
AFC, the AFL versus the NFL.
Yeah, the first 3 Super Bowls. The NFL was founded in 1920.
Okay, so
the Bears were founded in 1913.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, when you talk about that deep of history, it's something, especially if you've been in the same stadium or the same community, it's really something that I don't feel like you uproot. But, you know, what do you always say, Coulter? Money rules all?
Well, so that's the part where it's like, okay, so you're a franchise that's in peril of folding if you don't move to a place that has better tax benefits or like a fancier stadium. This is just pure greed. The Bears are not in peril of folding whatsoever. They just want to make more money than they already make, which is an exorbitant amount of money.
Yeah, and it always falls back to the stadium. And it's the infrastructure where the city won't pay for the stadium.
Sure.
Even though it provides like these city benefits and all this community stuff, and they won't pay for it. And the overhead to build or to fix a decrepit stadium, you know, like I'm sure Soldier Field probably is.
Sure. Right.
None of these stadiums that are older than 40 years are decrepit, let alone, 60, 70 years.
Right.
Like they are completely fall apart, infrastructure bombs. If you're lucky enough, like the Yankees, you build a stadium right across the street, right? But most teams aren't that lucky. And I think that when it comes down to how much does the city want to keep you in all those kind of in battles? That's so much far outside the scope of sports. And that's where you talk about sports as a business, right? And then there's plenty of good conversation to be had there. But it comes down to the sport, it's really challenging for the backbone of the entire sport to be built off who's in the stands, who's watching on TV, and how that matters, the perception of how it matters to them. And if that's not the priority, especially in a pro sport like the NFL, where there's so much, there's so much connection and fandom to a team, then I don't really know what matters.
All football all the time, probably presented by Sportsbet Montana. Okay, last question. If the Seahawks are for sale, but nobody knows how much they're for sale for.
The Seahawks.
Seahawks are for sale, yeah. Paul Allen's trust is basically putting it out there, but there's no price tag on it. It's interesting. But that could lead, I don't know what that's going to lead to. The question for you, though, is this. There's going to be some guys that are coming up on it. Like John Schneider was already talking smack to Kenneth Walker at the parade because Kenneth Walker had apparently asked John Schneider if they could sit down and talk about a contract extension since he just won the Super Bowl MVP. John Schneider then put him on blast in front of hundreds of thousands of people at this parade.
Ouch.
And but this is the ruthless nature of the NFL. Both Kenneth Walker and Jackson Smith and Jigba are in contract years. The market value for somebody like Kenneth Walker would probably be somewhere between $10 and $14 million a year. And Jackson Smith and Jigba is going to get at least 33 a year. DK Metcalf makes 32. So Jackson Smith and Jigba's got to make more than that. Do you re-sign one or both of those guys, or do you just roll like the Seahawks always have, except for when they got stuck in the Russell Wilson contract and just let it ride and build it from within?
I mean, you got to resign a generational receiver all day, no question.
You do.
It's so hard in the NFL because
the problem is the price tag.
No, it's not a problem because that's what the market is.
Sure, but how many of the guys that make $30+ million made the playoffs or did anything this year?
Yeah, that's quarterback situations. You don't have to pay Sam Darnold, so you always pay the receiver. I mean, the market dictates it for a reason. It's really unfortunate because my favorite position...
Top 5 paid receivers in the league. Jackson Smith and Jigba is going to be with these guys,
it's
right?
Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson,
CeeDee Lamb.
They're all making over 30.
DK Metcalf.
Wow.
And Garrett Wilson.
Man, oh man.
How many of those guys made the playoffs? DK Metcalf snuck in. That's it. Is receiver the new quarterback? That's the question I'm getting to.
Okay, that's a better question, or a more approachable question. Let me finish with my favorite positions in the NFL. There's 3 of them. It's not even close. And it goes in this order. Linebacker, safety, running back.
Yeah.
They're the 3 lowest paid positions by like a long shot.
Yeah.
Why is that? Because they're my favorite positions because they're the most active, they're the most physical, and they're the most intentional positions in the NFL. Those all have short shelf life when you talk about like the reality of how physical and challenging the NFL game is and the schedule is. That being said, receiver truly is a game changer when it comes to a $33 million receiver compared to a $17 million receiver. The difference between a $12 million running back and a $3 million running back is negligible.
Sure.
It's extremely small. It's really hard for people to wrap their head around.
Because Kenneth Walker had 135 yards rushing in the Super Bowl. Kenneth Walker only rushed for 1,011 yards. That's only 59 yards per game. He only scored 5 touchdowns. Guess how many touchdowns he scored before the Super Bowl after October 1st?
0.
1.
Yeah, Zach Charbonnet had like 14 touchdowns this year.
Yeah.
You have to use multiple running backs. And again, it's, to me, when I say this out loud, this is the business that we just talked about with NFL stadiums, is the business of NFL running backs is disgusting. It's hard to even fathom that there's not going to be bell cows, that we aren't going to get to watch Adrian Peterson and Barry Sanders and Walter Payton, and that is pretty much gone. And if it does exist, it is a death sentence that you get to watch live on TV for maybe 2 or 3 years. So someone like Kenneth Walker, you sign them, they might have 1 or 2 good years. A receiver in the NFL, especially generational ones, as we're calling Jackson Smith and Jigba, have between 7 and 10 really good seasons in a 14-year career.
Yep.
It's a whole different value proposition when you talk about adding someone who is going to have 12,000 yards and 45 touchdowns compared to someone who's going to have 3,000 yards and 20 touchdowns.
The argument is that you could just get the next Jackson Smith and Jigba in the draft.
You can't, because you'll have a splash. But it takes development. Like, you might have a good second year. There's really like a low bar for rookies. Every year there's a good rookie.
Yeah.
Second year guys usually have pretty solid years. Third year guys tend to kind of plateau, flatten out. And when you come to a contract, it's kind of do or die. You either have it or you don't. The next part that's so important about NFL receivers is the difference between a 1 and a 2 on a team. Let's just say average throughout the league is big but not crazy huge. The difference between a 1 and a 3 is massive. Your third receiver can't touch your first receiver, where your third running back could equally start and produce the same as your first running back. Which is, I mean, again, because at running back we're talking about averaging 3.5 yards a carry. A lot of guys can do that.
Yeah.
Can run 3 yards into a cloud of dust. To be able to run the entire route tree, make a quarterback better. I mean, that's the difference here. Is we're talking about like George Pickens wants $35 million. He can run 3 routes.
Sure.
Like George Pickens can probably run 7. There's 13, 14 routes. He can't run 14.
Guess how much the Rams pay their receivers? Devontae Adams, Tutu, and Puka Nacua combined.
Well, Puka Nacua is still on probably a bad contract.
Puka Nacua is the 168th highest paid receiver in the NFL. He makes $1.3 million.
And yeah, is he on his rookie deal though? I think after taxes, he's making. He said after taxes he makes less than $500,000.
Yeah,
in LA.
Yeah,
he says that he can't even live. He has to rent a house.
It's crazy.
He's on a rookie deal though.
Yeah,
he's about to get paid $40 million a year.
Yeah, is that worth it?
Yes,
I think that hurts the Rams, man.
But who are you going to get?
The Seahawks literally just proved you can win the Super Bowl without anybody that's the highest paid player in the league at his position. And that's actually why the Seahawks won the Super Bowl.
I agree with you.
So that's why I think the Seahawks might just run it back and just say, if JSN wants $40 million, see ya. K9 wants 10, we're good. We'll replace you. We'll replace you with 4 guys. We'll replace you with 6 guys. We'll replace you with culture. I don't know. It's interesting. It's just an interesting conundrum.
Only works, like you just said, that your example was the Rams have the lowest paid receivers. Guess who they have? The NFL MVP.
Right. And the best offensive coach in the football.
If you want to go get Joe Burrow or Josh Allen or...
That's why what the Bengals did is so stupid.
It is stupid.
Because they're paying... They can't afford anything but what they have in terms of their quarterback and their 2 receivers.
Well, what I'm saying is that you don't pay T. Higgins. You pay Jamar Chase all day. Don't pay the second guy.
Because the second guy is going to benefit.
Lamb. You don't pay George Pickens.
Man.
Pay 1. Don't pay 2.
I would pay none, man. I would pay none. How many games is Justin Jefferson winning the Vikings? He's not. He's not.
It's because they have your quarterback in place.
Right. But, man, what receiver is the receiver that had the biggest influence on a team actually winning the Super Bowl? Cooper Kupp. Probably, right?
Yeah, Hall of Famer.
Yeah, but who else? Jerry Rice, and then
Puka Nacua this year if they want it.
List all the best receivers of all time in terms of just pure talent. How many of them won anything? Calvin Johnson, Randy Moss, Terrell Owens, no rings, 0 rings. How many rings does Danny Amendola have? 3, 4? Julian Edelman, 7th round draft pick.
Again, every example you have of bad receiver core have one of the 5 best quarterbacks to ever live.
Sure. But you gotta start somewhere, and I just don't think it's receiving.
You should do it like the Bills do it. It's working really well.
The Bills got upside down because of the Josh Allen contract.
Yeah, shouldn't pay him either.
Man, I think that we're trending towards that.
Who do you want to pay?
I think we're trending towards that. You're trending towards what the Seahawks just did. You get a bunch of also-ran guys that were busts, and you put them on your defensive line, and you let them eat, and you sign the mid-level quarterback, and you do it under the salary cap model.
Yeah, this is like such a fun mid-July. You're 14 years old. You're playing Madden. You're gonna be like, I'm going to do this the hard way. What you're saying is that you're willing to go 4-12, 4-13. That's what you're saying.
I mean, what if the narrative of that the quarterback's the most important thing is dying? Because I think that the number one thing that no one tells you, because the national media refuses to talk about, because the easiest thing to sell people is quarterbacks, is that defenses have caught up. Defenses have totally caught up. The worst defenses in the league only give up 4 touchdowns a game now. You have to have a top 5 defense. It's the number one thing you have to have now. And I don't think the national media wants you to know that.
So who are you going to pay then?
Nobody. That's the whole thing. You pay everybody middle, just like the Seahawks just did. I think that's the new model. I really do. Do you have faith that any of the guys that you consider top 10 quarterbacks are going to win a ring ever again? Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts. Are any of those guys going to ever win a ring again?
Well, I'd take Jalen Hurts out of there, but yes.
They are.
Yes.
I think there's equal, if not greater, chance that guys like Sam Darnold and or guys that are going to get drafted next year or the next year or the next year have a chance. Drake May's got a better chance than a whole bunch of guys that are better than him. But only in the beginning.
Yeah.
Because of the contract.
Yep.
It's fascinating.
Yeah, I think that, again, your model is true and it works. But to say that you're going to get these guys that don't have pedigree, that aren't a part of, that aren't chasing a bag, you're going to just get dudes who are like, we have 53 guys that don't want a bag.
Well, good luck with that. They all get bags. It's just not as big of a bag. But
now you're going to get 53 more that just, you have all 53.
Wouldn't you rather have Leonard Williams.
I'll take Will Anderson, and then when they ask me to pay him, I'll take him.
Yeah, right. That's who I'm going to pay, though.
But then you can't pay the other guys next to him.
Who I'm going to pay is like the Texans are doing it. I'm going to pay Derek Stingley and Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter. That's who I'm going to pay.
Yeah, then you get to the semis and you look like they do.
And you have C.J. Stroud playing quarterback.
And you don't have Nico Collins, and good luck.
Man.
Good luck.
It's going to be fascinating to see.
The biggest thing, before we finish this, the biggest thing that you're saying about Terrell Owens and Randy Moss and all these things is those teams without those guys are winning 3 games and they can't convert a third down to save their life.
Yeah.
You know about those guys because they get 18 yards on third down 165 times over a decade.
Yeah, right.
And so you know about them.
Yeah.
Because they stayed in the game and they kicked a field goal and they somehow were around. If you don't have those guys, you look like C.J. Stroud.
I still don't know how much like a guy like that puts you over the top, though.
Name a receiver on the Texans.
Nico Collins.
Outside of him. You don't know any of those new guys. You don't know a single one.
But he got hurt.
You don't know a single dude. And they are terrible.
Sure.
You know about Keyshawn Booty because his name's Booty.
JSN leaves the Seahawks. He signs anywhere in the NFL. Is it putting him over the top to win the Super Bowl? Even though we both consider him one of the best receivers in the league.
No, but with where offensive line is right now and where generally like secondary play is, you don't have anyone else to pay. You're going to take 2 terrible offensive linemen. The offensive lines in the NFL are terrible right now.
Yeah.
You're going to take 2 bad offensive linemen and an average nickel and over JSN. You could roll with that model all you want.
Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio. More NFL debates. And now that we're in the offseason coming your way, but we'll take a break, come back. Don't change that dial. Keep it right here. 102.9 ESPN Missoula.
The 23rd Annual Big Sky Documentary Film Festival is February 13th through the 22nd, featuring over 150 nonfiction films at the Wilma, the Zach, the Roxy, and MCT. Let's check in with Ryan and Lucy for an update.
We have 27 world premieres this year, including the features Big Sky Falling, which is about the 2006 Bozeman murder involving MSU athletes, as well as Give It a Shot, which is about the first newly developed male contraceptive in 200 years.
And for shorts, we have an incredible array of world premieres to highlight, from A Derailment, a story about a 2023 freight train carrying hazardous materials derailing, to a film called Stalin Boys, about 4 Mexican-American middle school boys obsessed with Stalin, as well as A Baker's Hotline, a film highlighting the King Arthur Flour hotline for baking emergencies.
For more information, visit bigskyfilmfest.org.
Red's Bar is a beloved institution in downtown Missoula. Whether you want to watch a game, enjoy a cold beer, spend time with friendly faces, or simply wind down, the welcoming atmosphere and wonderful staff at Red's will make you feel right at home. Red's features 14 HD TVs and 2 full-service bars. Stop by and grab a beer with friends while you watch your favorite team play, and check out the extensive collection of awesome sports memorabilia. Red's Bar in downtown Missoula, the friendliest sports bar in town.
Feeling inspired by the Winter Olympics but don't have any ice sports experience? Come to Glacier Ice Rink this Saturday and we'll get you started. Our Winter Games Tri-Day features skating, curling, and sled hockey sessions that introduce beginners to these sports in a fun, safe environment. If you're more of a spectator, we've got hockey games throughout the day, including a USA versus Canada matchup. Pre-registration is required, so visit glacierIcerink.com to sign up. Glacier Ice Rink's Winter Games Tri-Day this Saturday.
You might be thinking, what's the big deal about a kids menu? Well, once you have kids, you know. It seems like it's getting harder and harder to find kid-friendly meals at affordable prices. At Paradise Falls, the kids menu is not only diverse, it's a total steal. For some of the cheapest prices in town, you can get hamburgers, mac and cheese, and other kid favorites for super low prices. Paradise Falls is a family-friendly restaurant open 7 days a week. Come enjoy a meal with your kiddos in Paradise at Paradise Falls, 3621 Brook Street, Missoula's coolest hotspot. All Nations Health Center is committed to keeping you vibrant and full of energy by supporting your physical, mental, and spiritual health. All Nations Health Center in Missoula offers a variety of services to the Indigenous and non-Indigenous people of Western Montana. All Nations offers primary care doctors, behavioral health services, mental health counseling, and even dental. All Nations currently serves more than 2,000 registered clients who are proud Indigenous people. For more information about how All Nations Health Center can help you, visit allnations.health.
It's Nuanez Now on 102.9 102.9 ESPN Missoula. Watch the show statewide on SWX Montana Television.
It's probably pretty fortunate that when I was listening to that song when I was like 10, that I didn't know what they were talking about. Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. If you don't know, you can look it up. I'm not going to talk about it here. Appreciate you for hanging with us here on this Thursday. The Olympics have been sweet. We talked a little bit about it earlier this week. We'll talk a little bit about it tomorrow, but got to say big ups to Connor Ralph. What an awesome performance by him. He's a Helena, Montana native, and he got 5th place in the big air. And you might say, well, shucks, bummer he didn't make the podium. Well, this guy was about as close to making the podium as you can. He scored a 93-something, and I can't profess to be an expert in skiing big air, but when he hit the 93, they said it was one of the top 5 scores ever. And then 3 of the next 4 guys up on the big air got higher scores, including the 3 people that got on the podium had the highest scores in the history of the event. The guy that got gold, he broke the internet. So there's no shame in 5th place when you were just in pretty much literally the greatest big air in the history of the Olympics. So that's pretty sweet. And a kid from Montana was there representing. So pretty awesome. If you're missing the show today, you can always find it on the Nuanez Now podcast. I was talking Olympics because Olympic hockey, all the rage right now. We had some good stuff from Jeff and Hayden about the women's gold medal hockey win today, and we'll have some more tomorrow about the gold medal game that goes down then too. We also heard from Ryan Johnson, longtime veteran assistant in the Big Sky Conference for the Montana State women's basketball team. We also talked some Lady Grizz, and we also talked plenty of Bobby Houck and NFL as well. Appreciate all of our fine guests for chiming in, and you can find all that on the Nuanez Now podcast. We got most of our men's basketball stuff for Big Sky Conference in earlier this week. Heard from Chris Cobb, the associate head coach of the men's basketball team at Montana, on Tuesday, and then we heard from Jaden Stepp, a sophomore for the Montana State men's basketball team, yesterday. Here's your slate tonight. Idaho-Portland State is a good game. That should be a fun one. Montana's at Idaho State. That's in Pocatello. Montana State is at Weber. That should also probably be a pretty good game. And Eastern Washington is at Sac State. Then they flip-flop, and the lone standalone game this week is Northern Arizona, Northern Colorado in Greeley. And then we come down the stretch. Next weekend, there's going to be some games with some big ramifications, with Portland State coming through Montana. Portland State will be in Missoula. They'll be in Bozeman next Thursday, a week from today, and then they'll be in Missoula next Saturday. So those games, especially if Idaho can win tonight, then the race gets juicy, because then Portland State's going to have to figure out a way to win one at least if the Montana schools keep on winning. So this is going to be perhaps maybe, despite how down I've been on Big Sky Conference basketball, we could have some exciting races, right? I just want games of magnitude, et cetera. I know the talent it is what it is, and it's very explainable. It's nobody's fault. It's the institution of college basketball's fault. But I do think that if we could have games that have ramifications and excitement behind them, that would be cool, and that would be good for us, and that would be entertaining for the fans. So here's what I would like. It would be, and I don't have any rooting interest in this, just to make the games worth, fun and going to. I love if Idaho won in Portland tonight, or Eastern won in Portland on Saturday, and then I'd love it if the Vikings came to Montana with at least 3 league losses. We'll be back at it tomorrow. Rajim Seabrook will be here. Carolyn Chicken Sports and more. See you at 4 p.m. Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio.